Drills Talk, episode 12. In this episode, we're going to discuss the top 5 reasons age bias in hip hop is stupid. This is based off of a blog I wrote a year back entitled Who Created an Age Limit in Hip Hop? Thanks for listening to us. Thanks for watching us. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you like. Comment in the comment section if you agree or disagree with whatever I'm saying. Timestamps are in the description if you are a little too busy listening to the whole thing, but make sure eventually you do. Let's get right into it. Number 1. Hip hop started in the 70s. The 70s. So let's say the first hip hop artists came out and they were 16, 17, 18. All right. In the 70s, late 70s. So let's just say 1979, 80. All right. They're 15 in 1980. Okay. It's 2020. That will put them at 55. All right. So they've been doing it a long time. They're 55 years old. Okay. 55. You think, wow, is that old? Only in hip hop. Only in hip hop. Let's think. Kiss, still performing. Ozzy Osbourne, still performing. Queen, still performing. The Who, still performing. They all had debut albums in the 1960s and 1970s, and nobody has any issue at all with them making new music, with them going on tour. There's no issue at all, right? No issue. So hip hop starting in the late 70s, early 80s, you know, you're going to have artists who are in their 50s. Like, of course. Why wouldn't you? But what's the problem with that? There is no problem with that, unless it's hip hop. Why is that? Now, my beef with it is that it seems, you know, it's just because there's a lot of black people in hip hop. That really makes me upset, because what we're doing is we're putting a cap, as if this is athletics, on a person's opportunity or artist's opportunity to make a living throughout their life. We're saying, oh, well, you're a hip hop artist. That's pretty much 16 to 28 or 16 to 32. Okay, well, what if that 16-year-old takes 10, 15 years to actually break through? Let's say 15 years. So now the person's 31, 32 years old, right? And they're just breaking through. Are they old because they're 32? What if they always wanted to do music and life just pushed them into, you know, having to make money and support a family, and they don't get around to it until they're 35, 40 years old? They're still a new artist. But you know, nah, you can't rap at 40. You can't rap at 40 something. You can't rap at fit. Why? Where did this come from? I understand earlier when it's new, and in 85 you have people who are like, you know, 22, 23, who are the big artists, and they've been doing it for, you know, 5 to 10 years because they started when they were 15. And there is nobody 35 or 40 doing it, because hip hop is new. Hip hop is this fad. It's not going to be around that long. Like, whatever. This is what the kids do. But that was in 85. Now it's 2020 and hip hop is still here. Rapping is still here. And regardless of what they tell you, it's the biggest genre in music. There is no bigger genre in music than hip hop. Now, if you want to say pop, listen to pop music and tell me that it's not hip hop. It's all hip hop. It's all hip hop inspired. It's basically a copy of it. Everything is hip hop. So I don't want to hear that, oh, well, it's just, you know, that's the way of hip hop. That's just the way it is. Well, it needs to stop then. We need to make sure that that's not the way it will continue to be. Because I don't want to hear a 16-year-old rapping in my ear talking about 16-year-old things. I mean, they don't really know much. I know when I was 16, I thought I knew everything. You know, you couldn't tell me anything. I was going to take over the world. I understand. I don't have no problem with it. With a 16-year-old rapping to 14 to 20-year-olds, cool with it. But when I want to listen to some hip hop, and, you know, if I'm not listening to myself and I want to hear something lyrical or something that's going to make me think or something that's going to make me, hit an aha moment or maybe want to play it back 2 or 3 or 4 times. It's not going to be a 16-year-old talking about taking your girl. I mean, I've done that. I'm past that. I'm a grown man, right? It's like, what else can he tell me about? Well, he can tell me about books he's read, but what kind of books are you reading at 16? The normal 16-year-old are not reading books that are going to like blow my mind as a grown man. So, let's just remember that hip hop started 1978, 79, somewhere in there. And it's 2020 now. Hip hop is grown. It's a grown man. You see, we dress in button ups and stuff now. We have properties. We, are investors and we own companies and we're CEOs and things have changed. So let's get with it. Get with it. Number two. Number two is it only applies to hip hop, and it really takes me to another level. And the fact that it only applies to hip hop, again, is because of the majority of us being the artists, us being whatever you call us, melanated people, black people, Native Americans, American Indians. There's a lot. Just us, brown people, that whatever you call us, as long as it's respectful, that's what it is. So why does it only apply to hip hop? Let's just say the music industry just does a lot of people dirty, but mostly young, melanated people. And there's a history of it. And a big problem with it is not only that it happened then, it's that people who look like us are getting in positions now, but perpetuating the issue. Like they're doing it back, calling it good business. And it's not good business. Why would you have that happen to you, know how that felt, and then get into the position to change, be a change agent, and then continue to do what they did then? It makes no sense. So if you're watching this and you're in a position to make a change and you're not making that change, you are a big part of the problem. Hip hop needs to be taken care of as if it is a living, breathing person. And if it was a living, breathing person, it's about 55 years old. And, yes, it's grown, but the fact that it's, 55, let's try to make it, healthy and make sure it gets to 100. Let's treat it like that. And if we continue to only work with younger artists who are not probably talking about the greatest things in the world, because even if they wanted to, it's not what's going to be played on the radio or, get to the masses, then we have nothing but our parents and grandparents' great songs. And, let's be honest, we're still listening to those. We still have the Michael Jackson radio if we're listening to Pandora. We're still listening to the old Motown songs if we're listening on Pandora. We go to Spotify, we got the playlist, we go to Tidal, we're listening to older, older hip hop, looking for that, what we call good hip hop, looking for a very good beat, but also a catchy chorus, but with deep lyrical content in the verse. We want that whole package. And that's just not what's being packaged now. And the only people who would be okay with that are young and not looking into the future as, okay, well, if we make this garbage now, what are we going to have later? We're not thinking about that. I remember I was 16, I was 18, I was 20 years old before. And the now is what's important because the later seems so far away. It's just not in our heads. But again, some of us are now in the executive chair, in the executive positions, and how is our minds not there? How are we looking the other way? It doesn't make any sense. There's no way that a grown man, even older than me, say a grown man in their 40s or 50s and up, are sitting down, spending money, promoting this garbage music. Like, why are you doing it? You're giving us nothing. And another good thing to think about, if you are 16 to 20 and you're making music, ask yourself, if I was 50, can I perform this song? You see, like Nas can perform Illmatic still. Because the lyrical content is there. He's talking about something. It makes sense. It's not garbage rap. He's actually explaining something. He's telling a story. But if you listen to your song and you say, "Well, would I feel like a damn fool if I was 50 years old performing this song?" And if that's the case, then that should tell you maybe I should make a little better music. Maybe I should be trying a little harder. Maybe I should take a little longer making this song. I shouldn't be able to make an entire album in a week. That's true. You shouldn't. You shouldn't be able to make an entire album in a week. That's ridiculous. You didn't do that right. So just think about it. I'm an artist myself. I'm not here to shame anybody, but just make sure your stuff is timeless. Make sure your stuff is your best foot forward. Good music always rises to the top. If you're trying to just get a quick buck and you want to get on the radio real, quick and make a hit, a catchy song so you can buy a house and buy your mother a house, and all right, cool. But after you buy that house and you buy your mother a house, nobody's going to want to hear that trash from you over the long haul. It just doesn't work like that. Now, we may listen to trash from somebody else because they're a different person. It's newer trash. But we don't want to hear that from you because we still expect you to get better. But you can't get better, performing trash. You're performing that for the wrong reasons. You didn't create that song because it was a great message and, you put your best foot forward. It was one of your best tracks you ever wrote. You made that song to be catchy. You made that song to get on the radio and you don't even like it that much, but you have to perform it. And every time you perform it, you remind yourself of the sellout move that you made and it probably doesn't make you feel real good. So now you're not even performing the song. So now what are you doing with your career? Where is it? For what? You're chasing a check. You're chasing that fast, stardom. And where did it get you? Performing songs you don't like or not wanting to perform at all. And yes, you got your mom the house and you got a house, but how are you going to keep it? Because there's no more money coming in. Something to think about. Number three is musical prime is not in your teens and 20s. Now, yes, Michael Jackson made Thriller when he was 24, but you didn't. And just to be, full disclosure, Quincy Jones, who produced the album, was 49 at the time. That was 1982. He had a lot of help. I mean, production-wise, Quincy Jones worked with a lot of the jazz greats. He was a executive at a music label. He got Michael Jackson the best songs that were around at the time. And, in addition to Michael Jackson writing some songs himself, he had the cream of the crop and they put out one of the best albums to ever come out. Now, that was at 24. Let's fast forward to, what was that, 1995, 13 years later, Michael Jackson releases the History album, which in my opinion had just as many great songs on it. Now, it was a double album, like it was a greatest hits, and then there was another album, a new album. And on that album, he had They Don't Really Care About Us, which was his best political song. It, of course, rubbed people the wrong way. It had some, vulgar words in there. It was exactly what it needed to be. And it's just something he wouldn't have done at an age of, 22, 23, 24 years old. It's just, he wouldn't have been comfortable doing that. But he was at that age. And now we're talking, 37 years old, grown man, right? A lot more comfortable in his own skin, knowing that, okay, I'm Michael Jackson, I am me. I see an issue, I'm going to speak on it. And that's just not usually the case with a 22, 23, 24-year-old person or artist. You got Scream, you had Earth Song, you had, what was it, the R. Kelly joint, You're Not Alone. So you had a lot of songs that were just like hits off of one album. That's 5. People don't even get 5 singles, but there were 5 on that album. And that just shows the development and the maturity of the music by one of the greatest artists as an example. So how many artists that can you go back and say, okay, well, and by the way, Thriller wasn't his first album. So let's say you go back to his first album, or just take an artist and say, okay, well, have they been around for 13 years? Could I compare a year one versus year 13? There's not a lot of artists you can do that with. And a big reason is not just because of the lack of good music that they're pushing out to become, famous, but they have that window, and I'll discuss that in the next the next number 4. But just know that you don't reach your peak in a lot in your teens and 20s. I mean, outside of athletics, there's not much of a peak being reached. I mean, you're still developing physically. You're definitely still developing mentally. You haven't really experienced much. There's just no reason to believe and put the faith in this is the best I'm going to ever be when you're in your teens and your 20s. Definitely when it comes to music, or definitely when it comes to, hip hop. It's like, are you serious? How is that possible? If you're a teenager, you haven't went back and listened to music that came out before you were born, unless your parents have actually introduced you to it. Now, when you get to your 20s, it's like, okay, well, now I'm trying to make my own style, make my own sound. Okay, well, maybe you're just starting to look back and say, okay, well, what did they do then? But see, when you start to get it and everything clicks and you're just doing stuff and you're coming up with things that you can't believe you're thinking of, you're in your 30s, you're in your 40s, and you have all these ideas that because of the way rap is, you have to either hold on it and it never comes out, or you release it, but you release it through a younger artist. And I just don't see the reason for that. I mean, why can't the person who creates the music put the music out? It's just, I don't get it. I mean, it's wrong. It's wrong. It's been perpetuated throughout time. We've been doing it for what? You got the 80s, 90s, aughts, 10s, 4 decades. We can stop it now. We just used Michael Jackson as, that's one of the greatest artists, if you want to call him R&B or pop or whatever it is. Definitely has a heavy, heavy, heavy influence of hip hop. So if we see that, he matured and he made, I would say, more lyrical and better music in his 30s, why can't we see that and say, hold up, if the best did it, I'm sure that, people who are worse probably get better. They're already starting lower. I'm sure they're matriculating, and getting better and better. Why are we, not giving them the opportunity to do so? Why is that okay? Why do we accept that? I don't know either. Number 4. Number 4, we're getting back to the small window of opportunity. Now, there are people who break that, Jay-Z is 50 something or 51 or somewhere around there now, and it's okay. We hear him rapping, we don't really think nothing of it. But there are artists younger than him who are performing, and they have these tours, and it's like a whole bunch of people who had some success in the late 90s or the early aughts, and they all get together and they have like these concerts and they tour around, and and people will say, oh, well, that's the old people's concert, or oh, well, yeah, I'm not trying to hear all that old music. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, you listen to music from the 70s when you're hanging around your house and you're cleaning up. Like, I don't get how these artists now, another thing that these artists can do to help is actually make new music. You're going around performing the same music, and okay, well, yeah, perform that too, but are you making new music? And that may help them see you as a more current or relevant artist. But no, these people go around and they're performing the same things forever. Now I get that. But back to the small, window of opportunity. If my opportunity is from the time I graduate high school, or if I drop out, the time I get tired of high school and I'm 16 years old, and I get about, that 14-year window to make money, which is, before I'm 30 as a rapper. And let's say it takes me some time and let's say I get on early, it didn't take me much time. 4 years and I'm on 20 years old. All right, cool. All right, in those 10 years, let's say you get 3 albums in. Maybe four. All right. So 3-4 albums, right? So let's just say that's 48 songs, 40 to 48 songs. All right. And you have a hit each album. So you had a pretty good career based on, what everybody else gets. But then what? So now you're 30 years old and you're considering yourself too old to rap. And you really don't do anything else well because you've been perfecting that since you were 16 years old. All right. So you have 14 years of experience that's yours just to throw away. You never use. And you have probably, what is this, 2020? 30-year-old probably has another, you know, 55 years of life. How are you going to make money? And why is that acceptable? Why is it acceptable for me to be this, rich and famous person in my 20s, and then I'm on my own and have to find another way for the last 50 years of 55 years of my life? Make that make sense. It doesn't make any sense. But we are, okay with it in hip hop. We say, okay, well, yeah, well, if you're gonna get on, you better get on by before you're 30. If you're gonna get on, you better get on before you 40. That's too old. You can't make music. You can't make rap music. You can't be hip hop at that age. Hip hop has no age limit. Hip hop itself is timeless. Hip hop has been through changes. Hip hop has, we done the big gaudy jewelry. We did the grills and gold teeth. Then we went to the shiny suits, and we went to the really, really big clothes, and we did the jerseys. Then we did the button ups. We went from, oh, it's all about street to, hey, maybe you should own some stock, or maybe you should start a company. Maybe you should buy some real estate. You know what I mean? We're growing up with the times. I mean, it's still new. It hasn't been around that long. And we have to understand that, hey, that we thought it was young thing was because it was for just for young people, because only young people would even give the time of day. But now there's people who are grandparents who grew up on hip hop, in our hip hop, and probably more hip hop than us now. And why can't they enjoy music or make music because of their age? It's not making a lot of sense to me. It gets me a little riled up, a little upset, but we can change it. And in videos like this, I hope, the right person sees it and helps to change it. Number five, we're going to discuss that the music that we will never hear is because of age bias. So number 5 is the music we never hear. If a person is like this amazing hip hop artist, they're an amazing rapper, they never got the opportunity to release their music. Something happened, they never got around to it, or they just, delayed, and before you knew it, they were 30 something, and they're like, okay, well, I'm running out of time, but I'm gonna keep on doing it. And by the time they got it right, by the time they got it in front of the right people, by the time the masses heard it, they were 40. And you that knowledge comes to your ear, and you're like, okay, well, this person's 40 and they're a new artist. Do I listen to it? Does it matter that the person's 40? Do I care? Like, would I care if the person has been around since they were 25 and they're making music and they're 40 and they have a release date and it's coming up and everybody's excited? Or does it matter that they're a new artist and they're 40? Now, I know that this shouldn't matter. You're hearing them saying, well, it shouldn't matter, but you think about it and you're like, oh, well, it does though. So just with the times, like, what is this? It's the 20, we're in, I guess this was going to release in about a week. So, we're in like the beginning of April, right? Jay Electronica is definitely over 40, I believe. But he just released his first album. And I remember waiting on his album at least for 10 years. So that's like 2010. And it's just getting it now. Do I not listen to it because I know he's over 40 years old? Come on now. You know what I mean? Like, I want to hear it. I'm not going to shun it. But what about the people who have already, accepted that, my time is done. I should have did it. I didn't do it. It's over now. I'm not gonna release this music. So it's just, this great music sitting in this hard drive in some whatever town, USA, and the world will never hear it. It could be the best song we've ever heard. It can be the song of the year. They can win award after award for it. That one song could hit the air of 1,000 people and create another 1,000 great songs based off of that one song. And you know what? None of that ever happens because we've convinced in hip hop that this person was too old to get that music off their hard drive and give it to the masses. Stupid. Makes no sense at all. I'm not okay with it. You shouldn't be okay with it. We're killing people's dreams. We are, handcuffing their ability to make money throughout life. Like you can't go on tour if you're over 50, and what are you doing? Unless you're a rock star, unless you're a pop star, unless you're a country music artist, then it's okay. Hip hop artists, no, you're too old. That's ridiculousness. That's stupidity. It needs to stop. Drills Talk, episode 12. This is the top 5 reasons age bias in the hip hop industry is stupid. Stupid. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. It's drills.com. Check this out. It's Drills.